Let me tell you a little bit about meeting Pam real quick. As I said, I always ask people to volunteer to present or to recommend somebody to present. I've had a lot of people who recommended somebody to present. Pam is the first one that volunteered to present, and we are so happy she did. She has got such a powerful program going on at Northside. And having said that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Pam.
Thank you so much, J.D. Good morning, everybody, and I'm so glad to be here. One of the things I want you to know about me is that I come from a kind of varied background. Okay, and Randy, we'll see if I get this clicker right. So I began life as a problem child who had attendance issues and behavioral issues. And it was because I had a whole lot of things that were going on in my life that nobody asked about and didn't intervene on. Randy, can you go ahead and move me forward? Oh, there it goes. And then I became, as an adult, I worked psychiatric facilities for 12 and a half years with kids, then a juvenile detention officer, then a special education teacher for self-contained emotionally disturbed kids, then middle school administrator, then hearing officer for a district, and now attendance and assistant director with Northside. A little bit about us. On the screen, what you see is our attendance data that goes along with everything for us. But we have 81 high schools, 21 middle schools, 21 high schools, including magnet schools, and 4 special schools. COVID, and you see from our data, our attendance prior was right at about 98%, before that 94%. We had really great attendance, and then COVID hit. And it devastated us, it devastated our families, and we had to go to a different way of doing things and connecting with our families. What you see right now is a snapshot of the first 4 weeks of the last 5 years, including this year. So 18-19, 96.5 at this time period. 19-20, it was, and 96.5. Then the grayed out areas, that's when COVID hit. And we had asynchronous learning, where the kids were just logging into the camera and our teachers were working with them. And then when we came back from COVID, they were able to go in and do remote conferencing if they were diagnosed with COVID and had to quarantine. This year, post-COVID, this is no remote conferencing, no virtual learning. And we are already almost 2 percentage points higher than last year. And while we're striving to get to prior to COVID, we know that there's a lot of issues out there facing our families. Randy, if you can play the video. And so we could do a different way of attacking attendance.
Learning and the struggles some families have making ends meet, an alarming trend has developed in our local schools. News 4 San Antonio's Jim Lefko is here to show you what one district is doing to try and get school skipping students back in class.
Hi, my name is Ms. Lewis. I'm from the Student Advocacy School Choice for Northside.
Northside ISD has an enrollment of more than 103,000 students, but on any given day, 4,000 to 5,000 kids typically skip school, some repeatedly.
How big of a problem is that for NISD right now?
These are kids who are not logging in at all, not even for one class on the day.
NISD is attacking the problem aggressively. It has 11 employees called student attendance specialists. This team has made over 9,000 home visits already this school year. We tagged along today as they knocked on doors.
When they don't answer, then we leave a door hanger with information to give us a call.
Contact was made at house number 4. The reasons varied for the kids and their families.
Here, let me give you some resources for you.
From COVID concerns to rent issues and food insecurity.
It's a situational poverty issue or a situational hard time, and the families aren't sure how to find the resources.
So the staff shifted its focus from traditional heavy-handed truancy mandates to a more collaborative social worker approach. Helping needy families find clothing or getting their power back on often leads to the student re-engaging. Some have returned to on-campus learning, where attendance numbers are better.
It is so gratifying to see that families are coming back and getting more comfortable with their kids being at school.
That's what happened at this house, where the student pledged to return to school on Monday.
Success. Should be back Monday.
Officials tell us they eventually make contact with about 75% of the students, although it can require multiple home visits. For those who don't respond, the juvenile courts remain the final option. Robert, great story.
And so what has happened, and I wanted to go ahead and share that clip, because with COVID, what we realized is that we have to do things different. My background, because in my spare time, I do have a master's in community counseling, and I do counseling out in the community. So I believe that there has to be a balance between finding out whys, giving supports for those whys, and if we have resistance, being able to intensify our interventions, but we can't be punitive at the very first go. So there it goes. So what I want to share with you is part of the presentation that I gave to every single administrator in our district that handles attendance for those 120-something schools. And the first part of the presentation was about campuses and what they had done last year and what they were going to do different this year. And then it was this portion, which is about all the different resources in the district. As huge as we are with 102 to 103,000 students, 120-something campuses, we are so large that people don't always know exactly what we have. And so what I did was I got in touch with all the different people that we've been partnering with and invited them to come talk to directly to our campuses about what they can do to support attendance. Thank you. And so this was our table of contents. It's phenomenal. And one of the things I really learned more deeply about is family engagement, who I've been partnering with, but I didn't really have a deep understanding of family engagement. And so these I stole from Karen Mapp, and the wins when we collaborate with partnerships, whether it's families, community, or our resources inside the district, outside the district. Oops. Sorry, I'm in our boardroom and the lights just went out. So sorry about that, technical difficulties, but I see you can still see my face, sorry. But these are the wins. When we use collaborative partnerships, these are the wins. And this is what I wanted our administrators to understand, because so many admin want to be punitive. What are the punishments? And I always say, punishment is the least effective tool I have in our tool chest. Thank you. These are the wins for families and for schools. And you are going to get a copy of this. This is the wins for the district and communities. And I'm really trying to get us to go back to being a village. Everybody is working in silos, and that is not effective and it's not healthy. And so whole child in our department is huge. And I'm working, I only have 13 liaisons. It's me and 13 liaisons for the entire district. And on our own, we can't turn attendance around. It has to be a collaborative process. And we have to understand why. If we are only dealing with the symptom, we're putting a Band-Aid on the problem. We want long-term solutions. And so whole child, that executive director and I worked very well together on collaborating and partnering all of our people together, because while I only have 13 liaisons, with all the different groups that she has, there are about 100 people So that's 114 people attacking attendance just between our two departments. Social emotional behavior coaches, they're part of this, and they came to talk about how they can help teachers make their classrooms a welcome, safe environment. Our t-shirts this year is students have to Maslow before they can bloom. If families are worrying about their basic needs, there is no way that they are worrying or studying to be successful in math, English, language arts, or anything else. And so that is what we're really pushing, is that understanding of what needs, how that goes with Maslow, with Bloom. And so again, because I think this is so important, I put it several times so that they can understand this is a priority, and then the people and that they can contact. And again, they heard from them, not me, because I want them to really understand that this is collaboration, not dumping on people, but collaborative effort, teamwork. Then we also have for McKinney Vento, our homeless youth and foster care. Because of COVID, we have many more families that are in temporary, doubled up and tripled up living conditions, and pride, lack of knowledge. We have to ask the why to understand what they're going through, and then give them the protections and the supports that they need. And so we work very closely with the McKinney Vento people. And so McKinney Vento came and explained the importance and how that works, and also the people that are involved in doing it. And the admin, really, this was the first time that they truly understood that McKinney Vento is a good thing, not a bad thing. And then family engagement spoke about what they can do. And while family engagement is for Title I campuses, there are things that non-title campuses can do that really are also done on the title campuses. And who can do that? Like your PTA. And nobody thought about involving PTA in increasing attendance. And so family engagement talked about all the different liaisons and what they do and how they partner with us. We used to be called pupil personnel. We are now the Office of Student Advocacy and School Choice. It's about messaging and going from punitive to proactive. And so we changed everything about what we do, how we do it, and the perception. And then we work with community and schools. And there's 3 parts of community and schools. And so first we have the re-engagement community and schools. And they work with us on how to re-engage families. And so, and you're going to see you're getting this information, so I'm going through this fairly quickly. But these are some of the things that we did with them, us, the law, them, that encouragement and giving to resources and understanding the whys to improve attendance. Rise and Grind, those are where we go out and we reward parents for coming and having their kids on time. And the tardy party is saying, oh, we're so glad you're here, but this is when school began. And we only began partnering with them in January at these campuses, and take a look at how much their attendance improved just because of that coordinated collaboration. And so this year we began the summer planning, and that's why our attendance now is much better. And then traditional CIS, they also have a part to play, and the campuses that they cover and how they can support students. And then the third community and schools program is SEEDS, and this is for our non-title campuses. And they also work with us to go on and find out the why and provide the supports that they need. And these are the kinds of things they can benefit. And our administrators knew nothing about the SEEDS program. And so and many of them were saying, I wish I'd known this last year. But we also partner with special education, because often when we are out finding out the whys, we find out there's a disabling condition, or that a disabling condition they already had has been compounded and they've got another one. And so we work with special education to go in and find out, has an ARD been held, and does the qualifying condition contribute to the absence or not? And making sure that we have plans in place. Section 504 is another one, and we find out the same information. Has a Section 504 meeting taken place, and did the condition, did it contribute to the absence? And often we are referring families to 504 for possible qualification because of a disabling condition that we didn't know about. And so we are working hand in hand with these folks. And Section 504 spoke about what they're looking for, what they need from the campuses, and how to work together on this. And then San Antonio Municipal Court, we work with them. It is the attendance court, but we work with them on a very proactive manner in being able to address the attendance concerns of our most resistant families. And so everybody on the campus and in the district has a role to play. And we kind of define those roles, and we are further defining them this year by the departments. We are actually meeting and making sure someone from all of these resources that are available to the campus are at the attendance team meetings, so that they know exactly who you have available and what they can do. And then we divide up the work so we have no duplication or triplication of efforts. And we have documentation too, so that we have teacher documentation, admin documentation, and then non-teaching documentation. Our is interventions, and we keep expanding those every year. And so they have more and more tools in their tool chest. And these tier 1, that's everybody. Tier 2, we're looking at some of those partners, special ed, 504, community and schools, outside agencies. Tier 3, really going to be more the court system and us in increasing those interventions and making sure we document all of our steps so everybody knows what the other people are doing, because that is so important. And so all of this goes in line together, because with collaboration, you must have communication and you must have structure and guidelines. And so what we've tried to provide is a framework for all of that. And so these are just systems we use, and then our data collection, go on and see what has worked and what isn't working, so that we can go on and modify as needed. And T1 in Texas, all that means is that when we administrators enter, and my liaisons enter in what we are interventions in the system, it goes to TEA, and it shows what we are doing about our kids with attendance issues. And we keep expanding our action list so that they understand that we are doing a lot of work. I tell campuses, take credit for the work that you are doing. And so it's collaboration, not just with agencies and departments, but it's also with the staff on the campus, because custodians, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, everybody needs to be prepared to work together. And so preparing for those attendance team meetings, make sure that you share who you're going to be discussing with all those important partners. So when they come to the meeting, they know who you're going to discuss, and they can bring their important information to that meeting. And then also gave guidelines on how to have a positive meeting with a family to find out the whys. Because I had admin saying, Pam, we can't get them to open up to us. And I said, guess what, guys? We don't have a magic wand. These are the things we do. We make sure that they feel comfortable, feel supported, that no one is either judging them or already has a preconceived notion of how this is going to end. It has to be open, positive, and ask open-ended questions in order to find out what's going on. You have to build that trust. And you build an attendance contract based on what you find out. Because on our attendance contract, it is, who did we refer to? Did we refer to the Children's Bereavement Center because there is a death in the family? Did we refer to connections because they are homeless? And then we follow up. And so this collaboration is part of having that plan. And we only do a warning notice when all attempts are unsuccessful and they are still resistant to everything we've tried, because giving them something official with the law shuts down a conversation and a relationship before it even gets started. And so you've got to start with a positive, proactive before. And we do believe in guinea pigs and pilot programs. And so we are actually using our law and medical school this year for court mediation and court forums. And it is going to be awesome. And it's going to have wraparound services provided by whole child counseling and everyone else. So after we get these resistant families in there, find out some whys, they can get the help they need right then and there when they're done. Lots of education, very proactive. And this is what we do for court mediation, because I vet them to make sure. And I have taken, this is only year 3 of our program, but I have taken special ed students and 504 who have been very resistant to all the efforts of special ed and 504 and us. And so we do, this year we are looking at 5 families to go that most punitive way, which is filing with the prosecutor. So we are easing into things. But and we do refer and use, because I go everywhere to get ideas. Prior to 3 years ago, I was heavy into educational law and discipline, criminal law. I had to explore and understand educational law in 1 year in order to go on and explain and have everyone understand the true meaning and all the tools behind the compulsory attendance laws. And there are so many positives in those laws that people didn't know about. And so that's what I use. And again, Maslow before we bloom. So this was the part of the presentation that I did with our administrators. And these are some of my team. I actually have 4 new ones, 4 new liaisons, and their backgrounds are social work, counseling, juvenile detention, juvenile probation, working in CPS. That's all their backgrounds. And so this is what we are doing, and we're enabled to work with collaboratively, not just with internal organizations and departments, but also external, including faith-based organizations. And so they have a place in this, and we work with them. Randy, can you go in and pull up the PDF? One of the things that I want to share with you guys, because we did go from punitive to proactive. And because we are such a huge district, and in my research, I found out how horribly punitive we were. And so me and my director, we sat down. She became a director. I became assistant director, same time. And the first day that we met, I've been in the department now for 9 years. So I've seen some changes and I knew how punitive it was. So we sat down that very first day and we looked at what we do, how we do it, and the wording, and we changed it all. We went from pupil personnel to Office of Student Advocacy and School Choice, SASSY for short, because we wanted it to reflect what we do, and it's about advocating for our families. And so I just want you to see that what we did first was we changed all that, but we got buy-in from the superintendent and all upper admin for the district. And I really had to pitch it and explain why it was important that we make this shift. And I told him, I'm going to ask you for 5 years in a district this big and with such a huge shift in a paradigm shift, it was going to have to take time. And I want you to know that this started as just a skeleton, but got much bigger as we went along. And I filled in what we did. And so the first year was change of perception. It was about changing what we did. Then last year, it was about learning and growing. We collaborated with the prosecutor, the attendance prosecutor, the judge, counseling, not family engagement, administrators at our campuses that had the worst attendance. And what we did was first year we didn't have a manual. Second year we did. And it was all about, I want you to learn and grow. Start small and expand out. I want you to get comfortable this year in trying new things along this paradigm and then expand as you feel comfortable so you can have a plan for next year where I'm going to expect you to hit the ground running before school even starts. And so for the fall, I went out to every single campus. I had one other district administrator help me. I went to 94 campuses last year to make sure they understood this paradigm shift and where we're going and answered their questions. We also did the Steve Constantino book study with family engagement and social emotional learning. And then they learned, they grew, they tried things. Summer, we worked with the court and project outreach, community and schools, family engagement, to go on and work on planning and preparation. I went to Harvard. So all this was over this past summer. And this year is implementation, collaboration, data collection, and change of campus culture. And so right now, this is kind of a skeleton, but I need to fill this in because there is so much we've already done in the fall, and this is only week 5. Next year, it's going to be focusing on your campus culture and what changes need to be made. Implementation still, data collection, and collaboration will continue. And then our final year, year 5, it is all about celebrating families, community, and schools, all of our partners, as well as implementation, data collection, growth, and collaboration. And so this skeleton will be filled in. So wanted to just kind of show you what we did from going from punitive to proactive and collaboration. It does take time. And sometimes it's going to be slow. People are going to get frustrated. Your workers are going to get frustrated. Mine did. And so did our family engagement folks. And it was a time because we bonded and we trained together so that we could be true partners, even though we're under 2 different departments. We had support with each other. And one of the big things I told them is, guys, we got to be persistent, have high expectations and not move. Don't enable them, have high expectations, and help the campuses get where they need to be. And be persistent because we can't make them all drink the water, but those ones that are sticking their heels in the mud, they're going to be curious about why everybody else is drinking the water. They're going to look at it and they may go, you know what? This water actually is pretty good. And what we found this year is I have campuses where I removed our liaison support because they were not meeting my expectations. This year, I've had principals say, Pam, can you come talk to me about what I need to do in order to collaborate and do the smartest, most effective work in addressing our attendance issues. And these were campuses who thought they didn't have attendance issues. And so right now there is a feeling of excitement throughout our district with people talking about, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great year. Because one of the things we've done through collaboration is we discovered, because when we look for whys, we don't only look for whys with our families, we look at whys in our district and in our organization as to why aren't we being effective. And what we found was that our staff, administrators, and families did not understand the 90% rule for compulsory attendance. And so between me and community and schools, we created an educational flyer, and families and admin staff did not realize what they didn't know. And so that alone, in looking at our excused absences with a doctor's note and educating our families that if you bring them in the beginning of the day, take them to their doctor's appointment, give the doctor's note, it's a health. It's not excused doctor's note. It's not an absent. It doesn't count against you. Or if your appointment is in the morning, take them in the morning and bring them back after school. Don't keep them home all day long for a 2-hour appointment. And that's what they were doing. And so understanding the whys, not just of our families, but of ourselves. Why aren't we being successful? Just like we did as teachers. Why aren't my kids understanding what I'm teaching? We got to do the same with ourselves on what we're doing and how we're doing it, and is there a more effective way of doing it? So that is pretty much us. We're in year 3 of our 5-year rollout, and I am very happy to say that it is coming along very nicely.
Please put your questions in the question box. I'm going to take a couple of questions here that are logistical questions while people can add their questions about your program. Question is, will we be getting a copy of the PowerPoint at the end of the training? Yes, you will. Everybody will be receiving a copy of the video and the PowerPoint as a PDF. And you will walk away with Pam's contact information as well. But give me a couple of days, because what I do is I take the video, I break it into pieces, and then I distribute it. And I will also tell you that if you are, and any of our future ones, if you can't attend, if you register, then you're one of the first to receive the videos after the fact. So go ahead and register, even if you know you can't be there, and that'll put you at the top of the distribution for the videos and the PowerPoints. I do email these out. It will be part of our newsletter moving forward, and there will be archives on our website, which is another question that we received. How will we receive them? And in addition, Pam's PDF of her 5-year plan will also be available to you as a resource and a template. Okay, so Chalet Brown from Carrollton Farmers Branch, what were some of the parent engagement activities that were successful?
Parent engagement activities. So one of the things that we did for our pre-K, because we found that pre-K was not engaging. They figured, oh, it's just daycare. And so what we did was we did pre-K coffee days. And what we did was we talked about the importance of pre-K. We also had the diaper bank come out and teach about potty training and toileting, and we gave away all sorts of free stuff to the families who came, and they were able to ask questions. They brought their kids, and they got the takeaway of with pre-K, and we didn't say it just had to be pre-K, because we had pre-K, kinder, and first grade parents there that were having toileting issues. But we talked about when you enrolled your child in this program, you opted into the compulsory attendance law. And so that was one of the great ones. Another one that we did was the rise and grinds, because the families, what we do is we're out there when the families first come out, and we partner with community and schools and family engagement. They provide all the little goodies and bags and stuff. They have little treats and our educational flyers. And so and every now and then a mug that they received had a $25 gift card in it. And so we took pictures, we had the mascots out and high-fiving the kids, and the parents were like, oh my God, this is so odd. And so our parents who arrived right when after the bell rang, they didn't get all the goody nice mugs and prizes. They just got the educational flyers. And we weren't mean to them or anything. We're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. But the bell just rang. And here's the importance of getting your kids here on time. And we've actually created a educational handout for elementary as to what all those missed minutes add up to. And in terms of loss of education. Another one that we do forums where our families who have a certain number of absences, we have evening forums where the court sends out the invitations and we give a presentation. We have food and all sorts of things available. And we have a team of people that after we give the educational portion and we meet in the cafeteria and we divide up all the families. They each get a liaison, a counselor, or an administrator to work with them on building a contract. And those have been so effective. And we've only done it middle school and high school. This year we're adding elementary to find out the whys. And I always, if it's not me, it's one of my liaisons talking about, we are so glad you're here. You're not in trouble. This is a way for us to find out how we can work with you to help your children. And we want to go back to being a village. And I see parents' heads nodding in agreement, and they tell us everything. And we do contracts right then and there to get them help. So those are some of the things that we've done.
Awesome. We have someone who is requesting that your flyer that you talked about be included in the materials that you share. So I will collect that from you and share it at the same time. So thank you for that request, Nadia. Do we have any more questions for Pam while she has her camera on? You were very thorough.
Thank you, everyone, and take care and have a wonderful year.
Thank you, Pam.